Good evening, and welcome to episode 1 of Stop Wasting Money with Ineffective Advertising, or let's just make better commercials. All right. I'm Tim Burt, and I'm coming to you from St. Louis, and I'm a 20-year veteran of doing commercials, broadcast, media all over the world, and a lot of people have asked me, why am I doing this? Why am I giving away my best stuff for free? Why are you wasting your time and your energy and your effort and your money to do this? Couple of reasons. One is I don't care if you work for a radio station, TV station, web, print, doesn't matter. We can all do better. And I think that a lot of people who are in charge of writing copy just don't realize the tools that are really necessary and needed to make effective commercials. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is I'm tired of hearing bad ads. Which are easily fixable. And when you run a bad ad, that's when the client says, well, I tried radio and it doesn't work. TV doesn't work. Tried print, doesn't work. Billboards don't work. When in fact, it's the message that is the most important thing. It's the message that comes across. It's the message that compels people to act. And we're going to get into a little formula in just a moment, which has to be in every commercial. So if you'd like to, first off, a couple of things you might want to do. You might want to grab some paper and jot some notes down. And two, if you'd like to send me an email to ask a question, you certainly can at timburtmedia@gmail.com. That's timburtmedia@gmail.com. TIMBURT media@gmail.com. Now, so let's talk about what the goal of advertising is, the goal of a commercial. The goal of a commercial, well, first off, let me ask you, and just write this down, what do you think the goal of a commercial is? Most of you probably wrote down the sale, the actual transaction between consumer and business. And that's not necessarily true. The goal of a commercial, and you might want to write this down, is to convince people to buy crap that they don't really need. It's to convince people to buy crap that they don't really need. And when I say convince people to buy crap that they don't really need, the key word in that phrase is convince. You must convince someone to spend the money, to shell over that cash for that good product or service. So convince people to buy stuff that they don't really need. That is the goal of a commercial. Okay, and there's actually more to it. We'll get into that in later episodes. So lesson 1, and this is the most important thing. This is the building block of every effective, good commercial. This is the building block, and it is this right here. Psychology. Now, when I say psychology, what do I mean? Well, let's, for instance, take a commercial in the financial services industry. Let's take a bank that I really hate, Wells Fargo. I'm not going to tell you why I hate them, I just do. So let's say Wells Fargo was running a commercial, and let's say it said, how about this? Wells Fargo has financial advisors on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to meet all your financial needs. Call 1-800-WELLS-FARGO or visit wellsfargo.com. There's so many things wrong with that, which we'll get into later. But on the surface, was there anything compelling in what I just said? Was there any reason for you to pick up the phone? Probably not. Now, let's take a competitor of theirs. Let's say Citigroup. And let's say Citigroup was running an ad right now that said, if you were to die tomorrow, would your family be financially secure? Citigroup has financial planners to help you figure out your estate or your trust, your wills, whatever. Call 1-800-CITIGROUP. That's 1-800-CITIGROUP. Now, did you notice the first line of the commercial? If you were to die today or tomorrow, I believe I said tomorrow originally. If you were to die tomorrow, would your family be financially secure? It gets you thinking, right? That's the goal of the commercial. That's the goal, is to convince you to start thinking about it. It's to trigger a psychological response, to trip an emotional trigger. If you were to die tomorrow, would your family be financially secure? Now think about that for a second. Would your family be financially secure? Only you know the answer to that. If yes, if you think that your family would be financially secure, great. Then guess what? You may not have, and you probably don't have a need for city's services. But if you don't, if you're not sure that your family would be financially secure, you might want to call Citigroup. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, so that's example number one. Example number two, and I love this commercial for a number of reasons. And every person that I talk to, when I say, have you seen this ad? They go, oh, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. It hurts me. And actually, their commercial is the reason that I like them on Facebook, and we'll talk about that later as well. It's the Humane Society ads with the dogs and the cats and the cages, and they're looking at the camera. They get the real up-close shots, real tight, and, the cats, like they have the text overlay, and it says, why did you abandon me, or whatever. Incredibly powerful ad. Unbelievably powerful. And when people say, I can't watch it, well, obviously it triggered an emotional response in them, right? Okay. The third would be, and these are just random examples, the third one that I think is really good. Have you seen the don't text and drive PSAs? Those are really, really powerful. All over YouTube. Shouldn't have a problem finding them. The don't text and drive PSAs. Watch those. They are pretty jarring. So you can see now when I say that all commercials are rooted in psychology, that it has to elicit an emotional response. Whatever emotion that is dependent on the commercial, but that must elicit an emotional response. So when I talk about psychology, that's what I mean. So think about the ads that you might have right now. If you are a business owner, or if you're a salesperson, or if you're an ad agency, think about the ads that are on the air right now that you might be running. And I want you to go back and think about if they trip a psychological trigger. Do they elicit a reaction in the mind of the consumer? If not, might be time to start over. Just saying. So, that said, when we talk about psychology, that ties into the first line of a commercial. Now, what do you think? And I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to write down your answer. And then I want you to write down the real answer below it, because odds are you're not going to get this right. And that's okay. What is the goal? Here's the question. What is the goal of the first line of a commercial? Go ahead and write your response down. And I'm betting most of you are probably writing something to the effect of to get the listener or the viewer's attention, to grab them, to get their attention. Attention is probably in almost every response that's being written right now. That is true to a point, but the real goal of the first line of a commercial, and this is the correct answer, the goal of the first line of a commercial is to get you to listen to the second line. The goal of the second line to get you to listen to the third line, etc., etc., etc. So when we talk about, go back to that financial services ad that I just threw out an example for you. And it said, if you were to die tomorrow, would your family be financially secure? So does that make you want to listen to the second line? Okay, so it's kind of that chart thing. Yes. Okay, then you don't have a need to listen to the rest of that ad. But if you answer no, then hopefully that first sentence is compelling enough and powerful enough to get you to keep listening, and that is the goal of the first line of a commercial. So think about how psychology ties in to the ads that you are running right now, the ads you have written, the ads that you have to write yet. And I guarantee you that is going to completely change the way that you approach your commercial. I don't care if it's 10 seconds, 15, 30, 60, I don't care. I don't care if it's a print ad. I don't care if it's a web ad, a billboard, okay? Remember, they must be rooted in psychology. So in the next episode coming up, we're going to talk about the power of one good spot versus the power of one bad spot or commercial. And get into something we call the circle of fail and the circle of win. And I will explain exactly what those are in the next episode. If you'd like to send me an email to ask a question, I'd be more than happy to answer it for you. timburtmedia@gmail.com. That's timburtmedia@gmail.com. I'm Tim Burt, and I thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.